everybody. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. So glad you guys could stop by today. We are going to talk how to DIY homemade goodies. I love to create these mini banana breads. Maybe you like to make pumpkin bread, gingerbread, but I found it really difficult to give it like this. It's just not that exciting, right? Tied up with a bow, no, it just wasn't enough. So I have created a really fun sleeve, whether you like to give the banana bread out of a container or maybe you love those little mini tins. I've got two different ways that you can DIY packaging for your mini loaves. Are you ready to learn how? Great, let's go. I mean, seriously, how cute are these? So whether you like to give your bread in the little disposable tins, we'll talk about those in a minute, or if you have ceramic tins and you just want to wrap your bread, you've got that option too. I'm going to go over both of these with you. So no matter what design you need for your bread, I think this little sleeve is going to do the trick. Let's get started. Well, first I want to talk about the tins because this has been designed for a certain size bread, but not to worry because anything can be adjusted. These are made by Handy Foil. They are approximately 6 inches by 3 3/4. And then what's the height? Oh, about 2 inches tall. So that's what I used. And you notice my tins, they actually also came with a lid. So it's got a nice lid that you can use as well. But you know what? I took them out of the tin and so that I could reuse them. And then that's how I did these here. One other comment I want to make on these is that this particular set, there were 5 mini loaf pans in a package. A standard banana bread recipe, you're going to use 5 of the mini loaf pans for a recipe that would make one bigger, the big size banana breads. So just so you know, because I had to do my research on that, 5 mini loaves is equal to 1 large loaf. All right, so now that we've got that down, we're going to go over how to create both different versions. We're going to start with this one here, and that's the one with the tin. So we're going to use some balmy blue cardstock. Now I have a piece of 8.5 by 11 here, but it's only going to take half of a sheet. But because this is Tuesday Tips and I like to share tips, if you're going to be making 5 of these, well, you're going to need 5 sleeves, right? So I'm going to teach you how to go ahead and score 2 of these at one time. It's going to save you some time. You can use your Simply Scored board or the scoring tool on your paper trimmer, whichever works best for you. I'm going to put the 11 inches up here at the top and I'm going to score down. My scoring measurements are 1 1/4 inch, 3 1/4 inch, and 4 inches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this all the way around and I'm going to repeat that here on the other side. So 1 1/4, 3 1/4, and 4 inches. Now I'm simply going to cut this in half with that 8.5 inches up here at the top. We're going to cut it in half at 4 1/4. And see, just like that, I've got 2 pieces ready to go. You're going to need 1 additional piece of balmy blue cardstock, 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. I'll go over what we're going to do with that in a minute. We're going to come in with a bone folder and we're going to just start to give all of these score lines a crease. Now guys, this one is just a simple design. I'm going to put my design on using dies. But guess what? In the free download that I have for you, yes, there is a free download to go along with my project today. You'll see how you can add designer series paper. If you'd like to add designer series paper, I've got the measurements for that as well, so you can decorate it that way. I've got my banana bread there. And before I put this together, I want to kind of do a little test run. Want to make sure everything seems to be working. But I want you to notice, it doesn't come together at the bottom, does it? Yes, that is what that additional piece is for. That's going to allow us to bring the bottom together. And do you see how it just wraps and makes this perfect little sleeve? So let's go ahead and add this right here to the bottom of one side. I'm just going to add some adhesive there. I'm going to line that up right there along that line. Let's flip it around. I'll put some adhesive right here. We're going to line up that side right there. And can you see how our sleeve is going to come together? All right. So you can see we'll just be able to easily slide that bread in. So you could make the sleeves up in advance. That way, when you're ready with your banana bread, pumpkin bread, gingerbread, whatever you like to make, you're going to be set to go with your sleeve. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some ribbon. And because it's Christmas, I like this white frayed ribbon. I thought it was really, really pretty. I've got a yard of this ribbon, guys, a yard of it. And we are simply going to bring that around. By the way, that's also 36 inches, if that helps you. I am going to tie this here on the side, leave those tails long. I'll show you a little bit more about decorating here in a minute, but you can see how that's just going to slide right there. My ribbon goes all the way around. All right, we have that one done. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm now going to switch to go to creating a sleeve that is just for the mini loaf. And then if you want to learn more about decorating, stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you how I decorated these. But let me go ahead and bring in my original. So this is the one that was all done. And yes, I will teach you how to do that at the end if you want to watch that. But you can see what a great way to give the gift of fresh bread, right? Okay, now we're ready to move on to how to make a wrap if you're going to be taking your bread out of the tin. This one is a lot like the first one that we can go and score once and cut twice so that we can get 2 sleeves. Just as we did before, I have an 8.5 by 11 of mint macaron, and I've got the 11 inches up here at the top. Guys, the scoring measurement for this particular sleeve is different than the first one. So this one we are going to score at 2 1/4, 3 3/4, and 4.5 inches. We're going to rotate it around. Let's repeat that. 2 1/4, 3 3/4, and 4.5 inches. With the 8.5 inches up at the top, we will cut it in half to 4 1/4, and now we have 2 sleeves for our loaves that are outside of the tin. Now you remember on this tin, we had an additional piece here. We do not need that for this one. That's kind of nice. It's going to use a little less cardstock. We're going to come in with our bone folder. We're going to give all of our score lines a crease. And by the way, if you want to decorate this with designer series paper in all of these panels, again, on my free download, I will have the measurements for that. So you have some options of how to create. Here we go. So here's what our next sleeve looks like. But I don't want you to put this one together just yet. I can't guarantee how high your bread is going to rise, right? We have no idea. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is take some scrap cardstock, okay? Maybe something you messed up on. That's a great thing to use it on to make a template. And what we want to do is go ahead and score it just like this. And then you might have to play a little bit. I'm going to take my bread upside down and you can see how this is going to wrap around. Now, it's not good. It may or may not come to the edge. It could. It's all going to be determined on how high your bread is. But you've got the ability to slide this around and make it whatever size you need it to be, right? Isn't that great? So this one, like I said, don't put it together until you're sure what size your bread is. Now, I've got another tip for you. I can't also guarantee that everybody is going to have the same size bread. And if you want to tweak this a little bit, I've got another tip. It's Tuesday Tips after all, so let me share that one. I'm going to come back in with my Simply Scored board. And this little area right here, this is in between the 3 3/4 and the 4.5. If you need a little more flexibility in there, let me find, there's my 3 3/4. I'm going to score this at every 1/4 of an inch until I hit that 4.5, which really I'm just doing 2. So I'm going to score at 4 and 4 1/4. Do you see those extra lines there? And what that will do, let me bring in the bread, that will kind of help. See how it's going to kind of give that a little bit more of a curve? Do you see? You may or may not need that, but that's why I said you're going to want to test your bread. You can leave it flat. You can give it a score. Remember, you can still cover that with designer series paper if you don't like the look, but at least it gives you that little bit of curve should you need it. All right, so here I'm going to keep my adhesive a little further away from that score line, because if I just want to bring it around to about here, I don't want to get adhesive on the bread. But there is another sleeve option, all right? Very easy. Now for the ribbon on this one, I'm going to use some gold shimmer ribbon. And this one you only need about 25 inches. So a little bit less ribbon than you needed on the other one. I'm going to tie this in a bow right up here. There you go. So you could put that in the middle. You could hang a tag. If you wanted it off to the side, you could put a nice little die cut or punched image here. Lots of options. Missed any of the measurements? Don't worry about it. I've got a free download for you. That's right. Over at simplysimplestamping.com, you can find my free download, or the easy method, just look down in the YouTube description. I've got a direct link that will take you there. In this download, you're going to have everything you need. You're going to have the measurements. You're going to have the supply list, even a QR code or a link that'll take you back to this video if you need a refresher. And of course, a place you can order any of the supplies you might need, not including the bread. But you can find that there at simplysimplestamping.com. Order from there as well. Guys, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Now that we have everything cut ready, I'm going to show you how we are going to decorate our fun packaging. So let's get started with that. I did stamping on my cardstock before I put everything together, and I used a wonderful stamp set and matching punch. This is the Handmade Wishes bundle. This one is a lot of fun because it's not just for Christmas. So you can see we've got a great punch that goes along with our stamped images. But look, we have Christmas, New Year, with love. Who's thinking Valentine's Day? I'm sure you are. We got several holidays, and you know, it's always the right time for baked bread. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share with you how I created this particular one, and then stick with me and I'll show you how I did the balmy blue. I've got 2 ink pads today, mint macaron and polished pink. I think these are nice non-traditional colors. I've got a tip on how to put, let me show you. We're going to use these 2 holly leaves and the berries. And my tip is this. I'm going to start just anywhere here on my cardstock, and I'm going to stamp those berries in polished pink. I'm going to take those 2 holly leaves and I'm going to line them up right in there, then press my block to it. Now I'm sure I have that set, because now I can come in with my mint macaron and boom, let's stamp 2 at once. So we are just now going to repeat this sweet process all over this cardstock. As I said, you could also do designer series paper if you'd like. It is up to you. Now these sections here are the bottom, so I'm not going to mess with them. Why? We're going to leave those alone. Now I can come in with my leaves, and you can kind of rotate these around so that you get some variety. If I feel like I need any more, I want to fill in a little bit more, I can do that. I will crease these score lines, and then I'm going to set the sleeve off to the side while I create the focal image that's going to go on top. I've got some polished pink cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to stamp 2 of these images. By the way, do you notice how I took it in more of a diamond shape? Well, I did that because that is the actual shape of my punch. So I did that for a reason. All right, I'm going to flip this over, and I know this is going to be kind of odd, but I'm going to stamp with love right here. We're going to do something kind of fun with that here in a second. I've also got some basic white cardstock, 3 by 3. And I'm going to stamp 1 more of those fancy little dotted lines. All right, and because I like to make things as easy as possible, I'm actually going to stamp with love right there in the center. We're going to cover it up, but we're going to use that as a placeholder for just a second, because I'm going to come back in with mint macaron, and I'm going to say baked with love. And I want to give myself a little room, so I'm going to bring the word baked up just a little bit. Then I'm going to take that cute little Christmas tree, and I'm going to stamp that right down there at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to have some fun creating a really great tag. Let's go ahead and bring in the matching punch. I will tell you, this is the kind of punch you're always going to want to use upside down. You can line up those dots right here. Give that a punch. We're going to repeat that right here with these two images. All right, and one last thing, the word with love, more tips and tricks. I want you to put that here in the punch, and I'm going to bring the word with all the way over to the left side. Give yourself just enough little wiggle room right there. I want to line it up here in this little oval area, and we're going to give that a punch because I got a trick to share with you. All right, so I have that. Here we go. I'm actually going to slide this image, you know what, just to make get some of this bulk out of here. I'm going to do that. I know, are you just dying? All right, we're going to slide this into the punch. Do you see? I'm going to go from the inside of the punch and kind of bring it to the outside. Can you see how I did that? All right, I am going to now line this up. I'm shrinking it. I'm just kind of creating a little shrunk image. We'll line that up right here and give that a punch. Do you see how we did that? You see how we just kind of shrunk it down? Now this looks pretty awful, doesn't it? I'm going to trim. If you're not comfortable hand trimming it, you can use your paper trimmer. But you know what? It's not that far to go right across there. And look at my cute little with love. We'll come back to that here in just 1 second because I'm now going to take these two punches and I'm going to cut them in half. Now, you notice all these little bumps and bumps, right? Well, we are going to take one little bump off there. Can you see it's right by that little point? So we're going to cut that point off of there. Let's do that to all 4 of these. So see, there's the point. Let's go. We're going to be cutting that point off. All right. This is going to allow us, we're going to create a really fun layer using this punch. I don't know about you, but I love getting more bang for my buck when I can do things like this. All right, let me show you how we're going to layer this. I will start up here at the top, just give myself a little bit of adhesive, and watch this. I'm going to line that up just there on those dots. So there's one at the top. Here's one right down here at the bottom. Can you see how we're stretching the punch? Look, I told you I didn't even cut straight. It doesn't matter. This is on the back. No one's going to see it. But talk about a wow image. I mean, come on. That is so cute. Now, our little with love, I'm going to add a couple Stampin' Dimensionals on that. You could leave it because, you know, that does look cute. But are you ready? Yeah, that's cute, but this is cuter, right? Baked with love. Now we have a really adorable image. To add that to your sleeve, we're going to put a dimensional here and here. Remember, your bread might not be baked yet, but we want to go ahead and have this put together. So I can remove that. And I want you to notice how the lines of my punch kind of line up perfectly. So there is my sleeve. Remember, we're not going to seal it up until we have our bread, but I thought I'd show you a little Valentine version. So because we put those dimensionals just up at the top and the bottom, I can take that ribbon and slide it in. Again, after I've got my bread ready to go, I will tie this up here. And I must say, these colors are so cute, whether it's for Christmas or for Valentine's. I love the addition of that mint macaron. But remember, this is all about your creativity. You can get creative. Oh, look what I did here. Nope, there's no holly and leaves, but I used the little berries as just some dots, and I added the hearts, and you can see I chose a heart. And here we have the Christmas tree and the holly. So you have options there. All right, so I want to teach you how I created this sweet little gingerbread house. Again, would this not be sweet with gingerbread? So I'm going to be using the Sweet Gingerbread bundle. We've got a set of dies, great set of stamps. This one is really fun. I'm going to show you some tricks to creating this one easy. I've got a 5.5 by 5.5 basic white, and I have a piece of adhesive sheet that is 1 inch by 5.5. We're actually going to start with this. So I'm going to peel off the backings here. I think I'll just start with one. And I'm going to put this right here at the bottom of that cardstock. Peel off the next piece and the next one. So what I need to do is I need to die cut this fence. I want that adhesive sheet on the back That's why I wanted to keep it really close to the bottom. I'm going to lay my fence right on here. It is longer than we need, but we'll be trimming it down. So let me go run this through my die cutting machine to get our little fence. We're now going to adhere this onto our sleeve. Now, part of this is going to be cut off. So I'm not too worried. Like you see, I'm kind of mangling it a little bit here on the end. Not at all worried, but I just want to get that adhesive sheet and get it going. There we go. By the way, as I peel this off, if you have any strays left in here, typically when you go to peel this off, it's going to pull those right out of there. It's magical. I'm going to put my fence about right there. Now I can just come in, trim off the sides. And now with the remaining basic white, we're going to do some cutting. Now, remember, you do have that little bit of adhesive sheet there. You're welcome to go ahead and cut that off if you want. I'm going to leave it. It's not going to cause me too much trouble. I'm going to come in with some crumb cake ink, and I'm going to start with that gingerbread house. And I'm going to need some grid paper, some scratch paper, something, because I want to stamp that house off once, and then I will stamp it down here at the corner because I want it to be a light color. I want it to be gingerbread color. Now, since I have that stamp out, I'm going to go ahead now and come in with the little decor here on our gingerbread house. And because I'm not stamping off, it's going to kind of give it some nice pop there. Next, I will come in with shaded spruce, and somewhere on here, it doesn't really matter where, I'm going to get a wreath, and I'm going to want 2 of these trees. Guys, it really doesn't matter. We're going to be die cutting it all. So that's what I'm going to have in the shaded spruce. My last color is Sweet Sorbet. And for this, I put all my stamps here on one, so the door and the 2 windows. You can stamp that right there. The last thing we have is our sentiment. And so we're just going to put that about right here. Have a sweet Christmas. All right, everything stamped. Now to die cut everything, so I've got plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, and you can actually do quite a bit of this at one time. Oh, you know what? And there's one other thing that we're going to need, and that is this little rooftop. So we just need to kind of peek that in there somewhere. You know what? I think I'll get that one at the end because I kind of didn't leave myself the space I probably should have. I spread everything out much further than I needed to. All right, so we've got 2 trees. We've got a door and 2 windows. I love it that Stampin' Up! Gives us the dies. We have a couple little extras there. There's my wreath. I can get that. I can get my house. We'll put that one right there. Oh, this sentiment is actually going to go in this little balloon right here. And as I said, I do need my little rooftop. So I'll just sneak him in there. I'm going to get everything lined up. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and then we can put this together. All right, I'm going to start building my little gingerbread house. I'm going to put mini Stampin' Dimensionals here on the door and the windows. I love how these pop off of my little gingerbread house. It's really cute. My wreath, we're going to add a mini dimensional right there. We're going to add that right up here at the top of the house. This little snowy rooftop, just a little adhesive on that. We'll add that right there. It's looking really sweet. A couple mini dimensionals on the back of my trees. And then a few full-size dimensionals here on the back of my house. I'll add the house right there. See, what I like is it's sitting kind of off of the fence a little bit. I like that. We're going to add our trees next. They are so cute. Now, on my Have a Sweet Christmas, this is kind of meant to come up and out, but I needed to fill in a space. So you know what? We're just going to tuck it under, and I'm just going to use some adhesive right here. Tuck that right underneath. Last but not least, some red rhinestones for the berries on that wreath, because that, you know, we just need some bling, and it just adds such a festive look. And remember, this one had that sweet ribbon around it. And like I said, these are going to be great for Valentine's too. Look at this sweet little house. Works perfect. Sending love. We've got Instead of that wreath, we added the little heart. Options, options. We love that. So here's a great idea where you can take this idea from Christmas to Valentine's. There we go. Oh my gosh, that's quite the Tuesday tip video. Look at that. We have got Valentine's. We also have Christmas. We have another really sweet little Christmas house. And by the way, I think you could do this with Valentine's as well. I obviously would leave off that little wreath. You could do a heart instead because there's a die for that. So you could easily change this one out for Valentine's as well. There we go. Let's create some wonderful homemade baked bread. I know there's a million recipes out there and you probably have a Pinterest board full of them. This is going to be a fantastic little sleeve. You can use this again and again. Suddenly it hit me, wouldn't this be great for a little get well gift? A little pumpkin bread or banana bread. By the way, these types of breads freeze great. Put them in your freezer and you'll always have a gift ready to go when you create these fabulous little sleeves for your mini loaves. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you loved the ideas I shared, would you give me a thumbs up on YouTube? I always love that. And if you haven't subscribed, why not become a subscriber? There's a great big red button waiting for you. It says subscribe, click it. YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with a new video, and we'd love to have you here on the channel. Make it a great day, my friends. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.